most played from Cheese, I believe, as well, so no surprise there.
Yep, I like that. And I also like the Nunu ban as a response from IN Spooks when playing a lot of that Morgana, actually. Lots of targeted bans here between the two teams.
T-Gun had a phenomenal Morgana game. Again, no surprise. It is a targeted ban again, but taking that one away. So, I mean, get rid of the strongest champions that are possibly available from this immunity lineup. They can focus and then pick so many of the strong meta champions that are readily available for them.
Yeah, it's again, these teams definitely know each other quite well. Want to make sure they get those strong picks out of the way. Rise will, of course, join the lineup. That's a bit more of a standard ban.
Oh yeah, since the latest patch, 5.10 actually, we're now in 5.11, Rise has been one of the top contenders for first pick and or being banned away. We've seen a lot less of the jungle bans lately because there's just so many strong solo lane options now that you have to get rid of those. And it does leave open so many things, as we see Spooks has got a ridiculous statistic on Nunu at the moment. I don't think he's died yet in any Nunu games.
I don't think so, yeah. He's got absolutely insane KDA on the champion. Is Sivir actually the ban there as well from the Chiefs?
Yeah, I mean, Sivir, get rid of the Sivir. It's very good in team comp styles. It actually caters a lot more for getting rid of the mid-game troughs that a lot of AD carries tend to have. And Sivir just being able to use that on the hunt, you can pick a team that will have that strong mid-game, the tank lineups that we've always seen so far. And I mean, it's very smart to get rid of that, and it shows that they don't want that really super strong run in your face from immunity.
Yeah, and the last ban's actually Kalista coming through, so take that away from Rady. But already the Chiefs, they've locked in the Alistar.
Get that massive frontline tank option. The best part is it alleviates the options here for Swiper to have to go a tank. He can now essentially go whatever he would like, because they've got the support that is going to be a big tank for them.
And it's funny to see that, you know, lots of strong junglers, even Echo actually coming through unburned, lots of strong picks available, and it's the teams that actually want Alistar as their most common first pick.
Yeah, well, it's just because it provides so much for your team. Again, catering for that mid-game power spike where the tanks start to become super relevant. The big thing to keep in mind is if the Alistar or the tanks start to fall behind, they generally stay behind. So wait to see what the rest of that team comp is, of course, that actually backs up that Alistar and provides an all-around well-rounded comp.
Yeah, I think nice and aggressive as well. Really suits the Chiefs. Love to pick people off. But Team Immunity, considering their next few options, we've seen a lot of, again, Skillshot-based champions from T-Gun, so I don't mind these hovers at all, but they'll take their time here with their last few picks. Seems like they might just be settling on the Nautilus Rek'Sai.
Yeah, T-Gun, no slouch on that Nautilus, actually usually picking it over the Alistar anyway, funnily enough, so very comfortable taking away that Nautilus. We've got the Rek'Sai as well, one of the big three junglers generally that likes that early game pressure, and Rek'Sai, Gragas, the two greatest of that, with the extra early pressure, of course. Looking to opt towards that Rek'Sai's missed fish. We saw a small hiccup on a Sejuani game earlier in the season, but maybe back on a more comfortable jungler.
Yeah, just a bit more pressure as well. I mean, I think for me, when you look at high-pressure junglers, usually favor all the Gragas or the Rek'Sai, but players tend to have their preferences, it feels like.
Yeah, of course. They tend to have their preferences of either the Rek'Sai or the Gragas. I think it's usually based off performance on that. So, I mean, go for the Rek'Sai, there's always going to be the Gragas. The difference is, I suppose, that Gragas a higher skill cap essentially for how it tends to go, but there's also a higher chance that it might actually go wrong.
Yeah, and that's not what you want at all. Don't want things to go wrong, as we see what the Chiefs are considering. They are going to hover a couple of things here. They do lock it in. Echo and Hecarim are their next two picks.
So we saw the Echo ban last game, taking it away from Rhymeister, not actually respecting the Echo capabilities of Swiffer. We're yet to see it just yet, of course, only being enabled since Monday. But Swiffer on Echo, a mechanical god on a mechanically intensive champion, I have no doubt he's going to be scary.
No, not at all. And is there maybe flexibility with the champion there as well? Can they take it somewhere else?
There is always the flexibility of wanting to put it in the jungle or the top lane. We have seen a little bit of up in the air as to where that Echo wants to go. But most likely going to be the mid lane. We've already got the Hecarim locked in for the top lane option. So unless they do want to put it in the jungle, which is a possibility, Spooks likes to mix it up a little bit. We'll see what they want to do, though, with their last rotation. I
mean, I agree. I think it is more of a Swiffer champion, but just having that threat of the versatility is, you know, not bad at all, as we see Immunity considering their next few now as well. We've seen, again, a lot of Tristana. Almost randomly, it feels like she's almost the mascot of OCE in the last few days of the OPL. But Immunity are going to lock it in. Ryu's going to go back to Rumble, and it is going to be Zenk on Tristana.
So we've got the Rumble and the Tristana now completely locked in. Rumble being picked into the Hecarim is a sign that they're not necessarily looking for that laning phase, much like the last game. There are the odd times where you come out ahead, you find that really good equalizer or a level advantage or an item advantage if you get the Haunting guys and the Sork shoes. As an example, you can generally fight then because the Hecarim goes for the Cinder Hulk and it's raw health against raw magic pen. So that's your only big strength, but for the rest of that laning phase, pretty rough. And with that, they've got the Tristana now, who is just a god at pushing, known to rival that of the Sivir, and now that Caitlyn's starting to become popular again, her as well.
Yeah, that's a great point here. And it's funny, we've seen a lot of reviews. Rumble just in general seems to be one of his big champions. Soulstrike's, of course, not playing today. Missfish coming through instead. I mean, we've seen a lot of ganks with the Rek'Sai actually in the top side. I wonder if Missfish is going to be playing the same style.
Well, maybe they do want to pressure that Ryu lane, because when Ryu gets going, he gets going massively, starts to ramp up big time, and we have a last pick.
We do. We talked about the flex pick there. We've got the Lucian in for Radiant, but Victor actually the champion for Swiffer, so Spooks will be getting the Echo, it looks like.
They have flexed that up. They've got Swiffer in the jungle on Echo, and now we need to question what Spooks is actually going to build. Does he want to go to that Cinderhulk option, which we've seen a lot of Echoes go, or does he want to go Magus and completely wreck that ability power-based Echo?
I mean, I think you have a lot of options. That's part of the reason Echo's such a great champion, is that you just get to do kind of whatever you want. You can build tanky because your kit has so much utility built into it anyway.
Yeah, it's very unique in that respect. Echo can kind of build tanky and just utilize the CC and just the frontline capabilities that he has, and then just use that time shift to go back to his position 4 seconds ago, have all his health back and be ready to go in again. Or he can opt into the damage build where you work around that area where you can stun people. The threat of the zone is so big that they need to back off.
Yeah, and we've seen the W really massive zone. Don't want to get involved in that. Speaking of massive zones that are nice and scary though, we are going to have Orianna as the last pick up here. A nice comfort pick for Cheese.
Kind of similar to the Sin lineup last game. They've got the solo laners of the Orianna and the Rumble, both very big on the zone control front. They scale very well into the late game. Their magic damage is massive though. And you have a look at the rest of the lineup, the Trist will be able to complement them in the later stages of the game. They'll start to scale super well with that Trist, but the question is, that mid-game trough here, can Rumble push through that?
I mean, Immunity may be also worried about a frontline here, because you look down the lineup and it's kind of squishy.
It is in a way quite squishy. You don't really know what to expect from it just yet. What will the Rumble do? How will the Rek'Sai go early game is a big factor in that. Will they be able to start scaling and actually just get the items that is required of them? Rumble being naturally tanky, of course. Or will they get halted basically by this Chiefs lineup, the overwhelming pressure that they always put down?
And it's interesting to me that with Echo available, that actually Swift would rather have Victor. I'm sure he plays the Echo, probably been practicing it fairly recently, but wants to take the Victor instead. It's been very popular in the last few weeks of the OPL.
Yeah, Victor's starting to rise in popularity again. We have seen a big resurgence in Victor, and the best part about this champion is that he can instantly blow anybody up basically at any stage of the game once he gets going with one item. The threat of this Victor just being in a position, and the best part about it being on Swiffer is the way that he works with vision control. If he knows that they don't have a ward somewhere, he'll probably just stand there and wait for you to come to him.
Yeah, and Victor just kills people so quickly. I mean, pretty much insta-burst you over a wall. Pretty good champion. I think, funnily enough, the Rek'Sai might be a better fit for that sort of style, and it's going to be very different here with Spooks being on that Echo.
And what I really like about the comp, though, that they're actually running is that they've got the Echo in the Victor, and talk about zone control up against the zone control side of Immunity.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely massive. You can see the two comps, of course, but get on Twitter as well. Let us know who you think's going to win the game by using the hashtag CHF win for the Chiefs or hashtag I am win for Immunity. And again, given recent form, the Chiefs probably come in the favorites, but Immunity, they've upset the team once or twice in the history, and they're on form recently.
Immunity known to cause those upsets. You never know which game it's going to be. Maybe they've found their form again coming into this Thursday with the one hiccup on Monday. The week before was exceptional from them. Can they perhaps replicate what was happening last week, where they just completely stomp the early game and translate that into a big snowball? Or can the Chiefs again stop that with their superior late game team fighting that they are so renowned for?
Yeah, classically, that's actually what's been the undoing in this particular matchup. So very, very tense as we move things through. For me, though, the question has to actually start in the top lane here. We've seen Swiper, very consistent, very solid on a champion like Hecarim. But Ryu's Rumble, when it gets ahead, it goes crazy. I'm looking to Missfish here. Can he make the same impact that Soulstrike has been making?
Yeah, that's right. We need to know what Missfish is very capable of doing. And you have a look at the top laners here. The Rumble being picked into the Hecarim, essentially giving themselves a losing matchup. It doesn't look too favorable once it starts to ramp up with items. It gets a bit better, but I mean, it's difficult, and it will have a lot to do with the Rek'Sai.
So if we kind of look at the two teams then maybe a bit more holistically, just sort of looking at the comps 5v5, what are the team's win conditions here, Rusty? What are they looking to do in this game?
So Egypt and Raider have to win lane. They need their Alistar to be big first and foremost. They have that big front line because they've got Echo in the jungle, Swiper in the top lane on Hecarim. We don't know what build he's going to go for yet either. So we'll look to Egypt to be that big tank. And the same goes for T-Gun. But the difference is going to come down who can control zones better. Again, we've touched on it multiple times, but when you have an Orianna and a Rumble, the certain spaces where you use your ultimates or leave your ball cannot be traversed by the enemy team. But you have a look at the side of the Chiefs. They've got the Echo and the Victor. You can't walk through any areas there either. They've got stun orbs that just sit in spots and deny you from walking there. So you look at who's going to win the game and why. It'll be either team making a pick, or it will be the same thing that we saw last game from Sin, where the Orianna and the Rumble run rampant in a prolonged team fight or hit the amazing equalizer to set the rest of the team up. It's on the Chiefs to really force the push onto them, utilize the fact that they've got this zone control, they've got the hard engage from the Alistar, and they've got Radar on Lucian, who is just sick. Yeah,
I mean, we've seen the Chiefs can definitely get ahead in Snowball game. Had a bit of that on Monday in their matchup against Sudden Fear. Is it just a matter, Rusty, of who gets ahead first?
In a way, it is. Especially in this current meta, you will note that most of the teams that start ahead generally stay ahead and start to close the game out. That's because when a tank gets ahead, a tank usually stays ahead. They become even harder to kill than they already were. But once a tank falls behind, a tank behind on items doesn't really provide the same thing that any other champion would. You may as well opt into damage in that case. And we can see Spooks going for the jungle. Will he even go for the tank build is a good question.
I think the jungle echo is just such a unique thing here. We've seen a little bit of it. I'm sure people in solo queue, especially these guys, seen it a couple times. Spooks, I'm sure, has plenty of practice on it. But it's just such a different and unique champion that what it specifically brings to this comp, I'm excited to see. Because the Chiefs actually pulling up, I would say, quite a lot of new things, especially in the jungle and mid lane.
Yeah, definitely. They've got that Victor and the Echo combo, and it is quite unique. I don't think we've seen that just yet. We don't really know what it's going to do besides, obviously, the zone control that they do have. But raw damage as well, something to note. Echo's passive, Victor's potential to blow someone up. Between the best friends club in the mid lane and the jungle here from the Chiefs, they can destroy anybody that they would like.
And I mean, we've seen already what Echo's ult can do. Victor's ultimate especially is massively high impact. I mean, kind of look through, again, a fairly squishy lineup for immunity. Maybe the support, maybe the jungler can get a bit tankier. I think she's going to have to do a lot of work. He really has to protect his team and sort of carry through and make sure everyone gets through okay.
Yeah, that's right. Orianna is going to have to do a lot. The Nautilus cannot provide the peel that we saw the Janna doing last game, and they need to be a little bit more all-in when they commit to an engage in this case, just because they've only really got the Orianna to peel back. So when you do see the immunity lineup go in, don't be surprised if they continue to just go in and chase them down.
Yeah, and that's why we've seen immunity really thrive when they get ahead and stay ahead and really hammer home with Tegan having a nice heavy engage champion. I guess before we get into the game, we're probably almost there, but just kind of looking at level 1, we talked about teams wanting to snowball here in this game. Is there maybe a lane swap we want to look to here with the Tristana especially?
Yeah, generally speaking, you look at the Tristana, you look at the Sivers that want to actually get that split push and get the turrets down. Most likely what is going to happen here from the side of immunity. They want that lane swap, get some levels and turrets down for immunity.
Well, we'll have to see. We're going to get the game fairly shortly. We'll pop you back into the studio with Atlas and Spawn.
Thank you very much, Pastry Time. We are going to be onto the Rift very, very soon, but you've been champing at the bit, Spawn. There are so many things that you want to talk about, especially considering the first Echo to be picked in the OPL so far.
Yeah, so Swiffer doesn't play it. That's just out there.
He doesn't play new stuff.
He doesn't play new stuff at all. He really isn't. He took a long time to pick up Azir, never jumped on the Yasuo hype train, took forever to pick up Zed as well. Finally did it and became actually a very good player. So he does have the potential to play these champions. But Victor, he's one of the legacy players, not legacy the team, legacy the old guys, that likes to spam out champions. And he definitely has been playing Victor. Very Swiffer champion. Waves clears exceptionally well. And he does play it like that assassin. Gets a lot of burst damage down.
Yeah, and this is sort of like, it is the Swiffer champion, isn't it, really? I mean, he plays the likes of LeBlanc, who has sort of a chainy maneuver type thing. You just like to do all of your buttons.
Yeah,
so he likes to sit in a brush, wait for someone to walk up and just do all your buttons at them and they die.
Yeah, exactly right. And you know, the other evolution that came through in this draft is they left up the Renekton, who Swiper was previously very vocal that he beats out a lot of the matchups in the top lane. Rumble being one of them was left open this time, and he actually went towards the Hecarim. So something that we saw. It's a weird matchup. It's whoever gets ahead stays ahead, the way Rusty said. But this time he has gone Ignite, so will probably be a Trinity first Hecarim, and we'll see whether he can use that to bully the lane.
Yeah, well, that's exactly right. We are into the Rift, though. We are onto the game, into the Rift, all that sort of stuff. Chiefs versus Immunity for our second match of the night. Zenk going to be able to take down one auto attack onto that ward.
Just send a message, you know. That's the last player I really wanted to touch on as we see an invade coming through from both teams. Is Zenk has been pretty vocal about the fact that he wants to play against Oceanic as best, who right now is the Chiefs. Very young player, 17 years old, coming onto the immunity lineup for Denian and going up against Radier. Looks like they might be looking for the lane swap. but I do want to see how he does perform throughout the mid-game on Tristana.
Yeah, well, one of these teams most definitely looking for a lane swap. The other one looking to try and scout out whether they can counter it. If it does come through, we'll see who is going to get the better end of this stick. Of course, Swiper probably wants to, I guess, stay away from a 1v1 against a Rumble, but I guess Swiper probably more than happy to go against 1v1 against anyone. He's pretty confident, this guy.
Yeah, I think certainly right now, Swiper very much is a confidence player, and he is playing at the top of his game right now. So wouldn't be surprised whether he's happy to take any lane. And it usually is a team idea to lane swap. And you see the Chiefs, they look like they're going for the 2v2. We'll walk over the ward now.
Yep, so they are going to...
Radier tried to be cute and still was envisioned the whole time.
Yeah, but it's the thought that counts, Spawn.
It is. He was like full ninja in a spotlight.
Missfish, though, not going to be spotted by any wards towards the top side of his jungle, and T-Gun and Zenk going to start on...
T-Gun is ridiculously tanky level 1, by the way.
Yeah, he's only with a little shield as well. My goodness, able to tank up that Gromp quite some time. They're going to share the experience here as well, so T-Gun and Zenk going to get there a little bit sooner. T-Gun is going to chug through a pot, and Ryu actually going to start off on the Wolves here as well. Yeah,
so he's going to be able to take away the first plant just exactly the same way Swiper did there. You see that he had to use the potion though, but we'll get some consumable back for it. Swiper already ready to teleport up into the lane.
Yeah, Radiant able to use that piercing light to great effect, nailing some creeps and Zenk as well. As T-Gun going to get knocked up, Ejim taking the pulverize first as Zenk hitting the level 2. T-Gun there as well. There's the passive actually as T-Gun able to get some stun down, but Radier, the explosive shots on top of him. Wow. There's the rocket jump forward as Zenk, the ignite's ticking down. Ejim just being a cow right in amongst everything, and oh, the flash into the pulverize, the heals comes down, but Ejim doesn't even mind because he's got so much health.
Yeah, exactly right. You know, just a little bit of mismatched target prioritization. T-Gun had the flash as well as the ignite. Probably could have burst Radier out because he got the full use of his heal and that potion off the back end, but they were just on a little bit of a different page. And you could see Zenk, we spoke about it. He really wants to take it to the Chiefs this game.
Yeah, he was super keen for that one. You can see Spooks now as well. He's finished off his second buff. And he's going to head back to base, pick up some jungle items. I'm interested to see whether he's going to go for that Cinderhulk or the Magus. You have a feeling that it might be the Cinderhulk?
Yeah, so Cinderhulk coming through right now is just a lot more cost efficient in how you build up into the mid game. Can't really get the damage you need to be an assassin from a jungle position as they go in again.
Double knock up there as Radier's going to kill a minion. T-Gun is going to also kill a minion. A lot of anger towards the creeps in this lane.
Yeah, they certainly are, especially when you start using abilities on them. That's when you're really mad.
Super mad. Radier misses some creeps here as well as the Chiefs.
Gets the lane frozen though, so that's nice movement there from Radar. Being able to take a couple up.
Yeah, well, he's got a little bit more intelligence. Okay, that was too deep.
Ryu and Swiper.
Yeah, Ryu and Swiper just going to smack each other here. Ryu landing a nice harpoon through the minions and then missing the second one as Cheese and Swift are going to go out. And I really like this mid lane, actually. A bit of a throwback. Of course, Cheese used to be a massive Orianna player, played it a whole lot in, I think it was 2013, 2014, something like that. We're going back quite some time, ladies and gentlemen. You were talking about Swiffer. I mean, he was definitely a legacy Victor player.
Yeah, he certainly is. And, you know, Swiffer played his fair deal of Orianna as well coming into that mid lane. So on very comfortable champions. Cheese, we haven't seen it in a little while, I don't believe. Hasn't picked it up yet this season. And they're going again in the bottom lane.
Missfish looking for it. Preyseeker lands. There's the knock-up, though, as T-Gun does land the dredge line. Ejim able to disengage very effectively and just going to head back towards the lane.
Yeah, people being really careful with their summoner spells today. That flash was available for T-Gun. He could have probably got onto Radier there, set that up a little bit easier with the auto attack, but instead they're just playing it nice and patiently, but Zink's in trouble.
Yep, there it is. First blood from Radier. Easy as you like. And, yep.
All right, so just talking about little things on Alistair's kit. When you have someone that is the range of, say, Lucian, early game Sivir, or, of course, early game Tristana, when they go for minions in the back line, so the... Wow.
Yeah, there's another knock-up as T-Gun takes a whole round of spells and damage from Radier.
So when they're in caster creep range, all you have to be is slightly ahead of your melee creeps and you're able to get pulverizers every single time. So as soon as it looks like you're about to pop that shield, just means that you're going to get a headbutt pole.
Well, Spook's looking for the parallel convergence. There's the stun. He gets the shield as well. Ryu going to get taken down easy as you like, and that's the power of the Echo jungle, ladies and gentlemen. If you can coordinate where that player is going to be, you're going to stun him up, get a shield, and everything's going to be dandy.
So he has ridiculous follow-up, CC. You saw that Swiper knocked him back a little bit. Even with the flash, Ryu would have still landed in the circle, so really good job of holding that one on. And then you just get so squishy because of the passive that comes through with all of that movement speed. And that's where Echo's seeing a lot of play as this tank player because it's so hard to shrug him off.
Yeah, what's the interesting thing? I mean, everyone's sort of looking at him as being this sort of Luden's Echo user with the Lich Banes, all this sort of massive burst damage. We have seen that be successful, but the fact that he does have so much of this utility play available and maneuverability does seem to work as this tank at the same time.
Yeah, it's funny because even in the mid lane, I think that build was a little bit overused at the start. I think Zhonya's Hourglass is definitely a better item on him in the mid lane because what you do is you dive into a team, you chuck your circle down, then your Zhonya's. They get stunned whilst your Zhonya's because that interaction still goes through. Then your Shadow catches up to you, hit your R and do 1.3. 130% AP ratio, which is just ludicrous.
Yeah, that
I
is
thought
pretty
we'll pass
ludicrous.
that point. But yeah, and then you just destroy everyone in one ability. So I think that there are different ways to play it. If you're split pushing, Luden's an okay item, but I think just cooldown reduction into pretty defensive AP, something like you would build with Diana right now would be better off.
Yeah, and as a salesman, Spawn, you definitely nailed that one because I would like to kill everyone with one ability. So I'm going to go for that. Thank you very much.
He's crazy.
Yeah. Pretty silly.
Kit's stacked, I think is the right word to use right now.
His Z-Drive resonance is also strong as he is going to get knocked up here. Cheese lands the dissonance. Victor finding his way in as well as Swiffer is going to make his presence known. Does nail the laser. And Spooks is going to survive this one. Parallel convergence used just to make sure that he had an escape route. And it's going to be fun. Equalizer was used in the top lane. His devastating charge going to bring Ryu back into the minion wave. The caster creep's doing work and Swiper locks down the 1v1.
Yeah, and it's funny because, wow.
Yep, another one comes through here as Miss Fish going to tunnel away. There's a parallel convergence. Oh my goodness, that rupture was fantastic. Swiffer blows his whole load to pick up that kill, and they're going to transition into the Dragon.
Yeah, so Dragon going to be picked up nice and early here. T-Gun trying to get in there to mix it up, but it looks like it will fall down.
Yep, easily taken down there as the Chiefs just with so much aggression. The teleport to be used in the top lane as well as immunity. They know that they're not going to pick that one up, and Radier heads back down to the bottom side of the map. Zenk and T-Gun trying to do what they can to get back in here. Level 6 has been hit though. Buster Shot's going to be available and probably going to be used for disengage.
Yeah, it certainly looks to be that way. Ejim just playing so far up right now. It's impossible to get in there. Zenk, he's trying to get some harass back. Like the way he's played the lane so far, but if anything, Radier and Ejim have just shown that they've come together as a duo lane in a very short time, and they're pretty much to be feared in every aspect of the game.
Yeah, definitely as far as the aggression is concerned, because these guys really seem to be coordinating fantastically. And what I loved was the fact that Radier just moved to his backline creeps because he knew that the tower would just one-shot them from that point and denies a whole lot of farm from Zenk.
Yeah, so able to get in there, make sure that he's denying as much CS as possible. Ejim still being an angry cow.
He is a very angry cow. He's having a giggle though. So angry, happy, not sure. He's just doing a whole lot of things.
He's an angry chuckler, Alistair.
An angry chuckler.
Yeah, he doesn't sound happy when he laughs.
Yeah, that's true. It's a bit like that. All right. Well, Swiper in the top side of the map. Just going to continue farming here. 64 to 61. Does have the Phage completed, so it does look like it is going to be more of an aggressive build from Swiper this time around. Of course, taking the Ignite does make sense, as there's the Dredge line, but T-Gun nails a minion with it once more. Radier again going to explode the backline minions, or do the best to in this case, as there's the culling. T-Gun takes a lot of damage from that one, but Zenk jumps on top of both of them. That's a nice double knockup. Gets the kill, gets the reset, and gets out.
Yeah, and Ejim was T-Gun's like, get back in here, where are you going? But in the end, they grabbed the kill.
Yeah, it's the style points for Zenk there. Wanted to show that he could jump multiple times in a very short amount of time.
Got the reset.
Yep, that's what we're talking about, but he's still 30 CS behind, so not riding home about too much just yet, but this is going to give him an opportunity to pick up a little bit more of that farm in this lane. So
and it's also the confidence boost. There's something to say about killing Radier at this point in the game as Ejim is being very annoying.
He is being super frustrating. Wanders out of the way of the depth charge. The dredge line wasn't a depth charge. You can't wander out of the way of that one, but he is going to be able to freeze this wave out quite effectively as Cheese with a massive health lead in this duel in the mid lane. There's the flash out of the way of the shockwave as Miss Fish tunnels his way in.
Yeah, that was probably the only place he could have flashed to live as well. Gets out of the range of the shockwave, sends Miss Fish in the wrong direction as well. So nicely played by Swiffer, but she's starting to get a little bit ahead in this mid lane.
Yeah, and of course, Swiffer now without that summoner spell means that Miss Fish can probably just make his way back round again. Nice laser land on the cheese, taking down a little bit of health. The Spooks is looking to find something on the map.
Yeah, wants to get in on this mid lane, throws the slow out.
Yeah, there it is. Gets in there as well, closes so much distance. Chaos Storm down, but Cheese flashes underneath the turret. He's going to be safe for now. And both of the mid laners trade flash very quickly.
What
so many
fantastic
circles.
timing coming through. Is now T-Gun in the mid lane.
Yeah, finds the snare, and Miss Fish is going to pick up the kill. Spooks with a lot of damage, though, as Miss Fish getting taken down low. Cheese does have to be careful with the command protect. Gonna save the jungler, and Chiefs, they don't find the follow-up kill.
Yeah, so they're not able to get the damage needed, so Immunity finally peg a trade back in their favor. And that was just a great roam up from T-Gun. It was matched by Asian, but got there a little bit earlier.
Oh, Zank gonna get culled in the bottom lane. Radier takes a very even trade, actually, as they were 1v1ing. There's the flash dredge line, though. T-Gun locks it down, and that would have felt very, very satisfying.
And it's a nice way to kill someone.
Oh,
the big
massive
anchor
anchor
in
to the head.
head.
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful. I like the coordination as well.
Yeah.
Looks very painful. Actually, Swiper going to continue farming out on this top side of the map. Miss Fish going to take some celebratory Krogs in full vision of the Chiefs. So Swiper might be playing a little bit further back this time around. Doesn't want to push his luck too far.
He must have so much gold. He's still sitting on that fade as well as a null magic man. Or Miss Fish going to sweep out a pink ward.
Yep, going to nail that one as well. Swiper is going to try and not give it up without a fight. Headbutt onto T-Gun, back into the team here.
The Venn diagram.
Oh, look at it. So many circles, ladies and gentlemen, as T-Gun is pretty tanky actually at this stage, but not tanky enough. Z-Drive Resonance is going to be enough to lock down that kill, and Spooks 2-0-1 now.
Yeah, so able to get in there, mix it up even further, and Spooks, he's had a fairly successful early game on this Echo, and
proving himself.
What teams don't want is to have to ban another one of Spooks' champion pool, because right now, Nunu is a pretty much get it off the board because of the way the Chiefs play, but throwing an Echo on top of that, but not even a mid lane ban would be a complete disaster.
Yep. Pretty ridiculous. Radiant now as well, getting some free time in the bottom side of the map. Spook standing on a ward means that they are definitely going to be seen, but he's going to mean the turret goes down.
They're able to deny the whole CS wave, so they teleport.
Yep, double teleports to come in though, as in fact the equalizer comes down, but Spooks will be able to get out of the way of that one. She's making his way in. Nice time winder as Spooks actually going to get caught by the shockwave. There's the Chilling Smite, heads back to the ultimate actually, but a little bit too little too late there as the second W comes down, but Parallel Convergence not going to save you from death.
Yeah, so they send 5 members into Radier's lane, trying to force that one through. Meanwhile, Swiffer and Swiper making short work of the turrets in their lane, so see whether they can trade back equally.
Yep, headbutt just to get Zenk away from the turret. And the Chiefs, they save their bottom lane, and they might be able to pick up even more as the top lane outer turret did fall down, and Swiffer got a lot of work done to that mid lane.
Yeah, so in the end, maybe not even a worthwhile trade with so much expended there for immunity. But you can see they're just trying their best to try and rescue what they can, because Radier, they've killed him twice, which is good, but he's 40 CS up and leading kills in the league already. Looks to be having another fantastic performance.
Yeah, KDA might take a shot on this one. Of course, yeah, Radier with 72 kills at the moment. Second place was taken, I believe, definitely by Rymeister now after his performance in the last game, but was at 38 coming into today. So, look, Radier's been doing some work this week.
Certainly has been able to carry from the AD carry role a little bit more. I have to say that the addition of Ejim has definitely been a positive one as a Chief now heading into another Dragon.
Yeah, 5-man strong here. Parallel Convergence not going to quite find the stun as Miss Fish is going to eventually move into it. They're focusing him down, but Spook's very, very low. Cheese nails it with the auto attack as Swiper now just going to deal with him. Miss Fish was super low, but the Flame Spitter from Ryu locks down the kill. In the backline, the Chiefs able to make something happen, but the Dragon eventually ignored. The Chiefs continue on their way with a 3,000 gold lead. It's a 2 for 2 though.
Yes, with a very low on mana, so they're not going to be able to get much more there. In the meanwhile, Zenk just continuing to farm up. Anytime he can get in this lane alone is going to be a good thing for immunity. And Radier, he actually might need to be careful. He's a little bit low. We've seen that Zenk likes to jump on people. I want to see if he can do it again.
Yeah, doesn't have his flash.
That's all right.
I'm talking about that as an aggressive option. But look, we'll see whether he does rocket jump forward. You can see the spacing from Radier is like, I think he's going to jump on me.
This has happened before. Yeah. I don't want it to happen again.
Deja vu, just a little bit. Nice piercing light. Gonna lock that one down. Doesn't quite find the grip. Yeah.
Ejim's back already. Missed his window a little bit.
Like I said, spacing, man. It's tough. Well, Scrying Orb going to be used. Is then going to be spotted out there walking up the river.
No teleport for Swiper, so this one should go over to immunity.
Yeah, Rio actually moves straight down to the Dragon, so it looks like with the man advantage, evening out the Dragons for immunity. Things looking fantastic. Still 3,000 gold at 16 minutes into the game means that this hasn't snowballed out of control, and the Chiefs, that's what they've been doing.
Yeah, and the difference in immunity the last 2 weeks, a lot of it has to come down to Ryu. He's playing better League of Legends than we've seen in the previous season in the first maybe quarter of this split. Last week and a half has actually been playing incredibly consistent for his team. You see, keeping up with Swiper in farm, has fallen a little bit behind in kills, but you know, has moved around the map nicely and helped his team out as now Cheese.
Yeah, a lot of parallel convergence flashed out of the way up there as the equalizer comes down from Ryu. May have found a nice position here as Cheese wants to get the ball into position for a shockwave. There it is. Spooks uses the ult though to get back in time. He's going to be able to lock that down. In the meanwhile, though, in the bottom lane, Radier's going to fall down to Zenk one more time.
Yeah, so Zenk continuing his aggression. T-Gun up in there, and something we've complimented immunity on apart from Ryu is the coordination between a new AD carry and the support player in T-Gun, and they're continuing that against the Chiefs.
Yeah, and after what was a difficult early phase, I mean, you have to say that that first 2v2 kill that the Chiefs managed to pick up looked like it was a sign for the worse here for IM, but hasn't deterred Zenk and T-Gun at all in this lane.
Yeah, it certainly hasn't. They've been utilizing the Rek'Sai and all the early pressure incredibly well. Spooks has been pretty much predominantly a topside jungler this game, and Miss Fish has made him pay a couple of times now, getting down there. 5 of 7 kill participations, having a great game.
Yeah, it really has. Swiper almost with the Trinity Force completed to augment what is already a brilliant early build with the boots plus the Home Guard enchant, really able to get into the back line. We've mentioned this many, many times, but it looks like Immunity actually clawing this one back just a little bit. Now just under 2,000 gold going to be the lead for the Chiefs, and even 1 turret to 1. And Immunity with this game firmly sort of under control. I mean, it's not like, you know, they're going to be riding home and saying we've got this game won or anything like that, but this is an Immunity lineup that does tend to fall behind to a point where they can't actually catch back up in the late stage of the game.
Yeah, it certainly is something that they've lacked, is the consistency through the early mid-game. They're all very experienced players with the exception of Zenk coming onto the lineup, so they've been able to play that well.
Scary.
But Zenk actually might be in a better position than you think, because he has 3 people coming up to 2 people to come up to support him.
Yeah, Swiper still likes his chances though. He's just going to try and clear out this minion wave.
Not anymore, he doesn't.
Yeah, no. That explosion. Gonna even hit that turret as Miss Fish makes his way around as well, and it looks like they're moving their Tristana very well. Zenk able to get to the turrets, take things down. It's the flash over the head bush. That was beautiful. And that's only proving your point even further. Ryu has definitely stepped up his game.
Yeah, it certainly has. They will lose the turret, though, because there's nothing he can do without his ultimate to hold this Lucian off. So it's about whether they can equalize.
Yep, Swiffer actually going to flash out of another shockwave as well. And I mean, you were talking about the fact that Cheese has missed a few in his time. But
on camera,
that was from flashes. There's Zenk that's going to be taken down. T-Gun forced to flash out of the way as Timewinder slows him down. Parallel convergence, not going to find it this time around. The predictiveness, but Swiffer blocks off that hole as well. T-Gun does have to be careful, does out-time the gravity field, and in the end it is going to be possibly his death. Swiper's going to lap up the kill, and Cheese says, okay, well, I gave you a bit of a time.
Yeah, and definitely not the play they want to get fed, because right now Swiper 4-1 and 2 has been able to extend a little bit of a CS lead as well. He'll go back, finish up that Trinity Force. And this is the thing about not going Cinderhawk, because Cheese in trouble.
Yep, there's the flash pulverized. Cheese gets delivered underneath the turret. Swiffer was tanking that one up, but just decides he's going to take it out instead as Chaos Storm is just going to be maneuvered under there, but doesn't quite have the time on it. And Chiefs lock down the outer turret in the mid lane.
Yeah, they certainly do. That completes the whole outer ring. Radius still down in the bottom turret, farming up an absolute storm after getting killed a couple of times. Very unhappy with that, I am sure. But now 4 turrets to 2. They've extended the gold lead to 5,000. This is what the Chiefs do fantastically. Play the mid game, open up the map, and get every advantage they can.
Yeah, and this is where they just push forward and get all the early, the forward vision into the enemy jungle. And you can see they're doing exactly that. There is vision littering the immunity side of the map at this point of the game. And Look at it, all towards that dragon. Up in about a minute and a half, but Chiefs looking to try and make sure that they secure that one.
And a lot of augmentations coming through from Swiffer here in the mid lane. A mix-up on his usual Victor build, going for a Lich Bane nice and early with the upgraded Q means that, once again, his primary role is to kill a squishy right now.
Yeah.
That's what his build does.
Yeah, he sits in a brush and kills someone.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it makes sense.
Don't stand next to walls, because if he has his flash, he's going over. We've talked about people not using their flashes aggressively. I feel that that's not a sentence that you use about the Chiefs.
Especially not Swiffer, who now with that augmentation on the Q, going to make sure he's running super fast after he utilizes that one. I'm looking to see when he finishes off that, that distortion enchantment. As Zank in a whole lot of trouble. Is just going to front flip over the wall. Love that new rocket jump. Super cool. It's T-Gun heading towards the top side. Of course, it's not that new anymore. I mean, Tristan's been changed for quite some time. The Swiper is just hiding in the Krug brush, but T-Gun not even looking for a Dread One.
No, certainly isn't. Just wants to force him away. They need to get some CS onto Zank. You see, he picked up a nice, healthy wave up there. Try and get him equal back up. Tristana, she doesn't have the exact same power curve she used to. A little bit better in the late game, a little bit worse, although use that term loosely-ish in the late game, where she used to be an incredible hyper carry.
Yep.
Still has the double escapes for AD carries, which is just so worthwhile.
Well, Ejim is going to headbutt T-Gun towards his team, actually. There's the gravity field stunning him up. Parallel Convergence is down here as Spooks looking for Cheese, but doesn't get there. T-Gun taking a lot of damage. Swiffer pretty safe in the backline as Misfish trying to zone him out. Zenk as well, using vision nicely, but Swiper destroys Cheese. The equalizer from Ryu in a great spot, but he's going to die, and the double kill for Swiffer. Chiefs just all over that team fight. And Zenk survived, but he's the only one.
Yeah, and they're going to go and grab themselves a Baron at only 23 minutes in. You saw the Shockwave, it just didn't hit the priority targets. Nailed Ejim, who already had the ultimate running, and then just wasn't able to get onto the backline. Swiper right now is just way too big, cannot be peeled, and this is going to be a 23-minute Baron.
Yep, right here in Ejim. Doing a bit of work there, especially in that last fight, and Ejim just been starting everything off. Really, really nicely done by this Chiefs lineup. And look,
once again...
Yeah, okay, Swiffer just destroyed Zenk there in the mid lane as well.
The kill participation that comes through from Spooks and Ejim. 10 kill involvements each in this game. Just the unity.
Yeah.
The jungle support.
Fantastic. In fact, they've shared a KDA for quite some time. The kill participation especially has been very, very similar. Actually, coming into this one, 68% to 67%. Rounded up, they're actually, you know, off by about 0.6%. As far as kill participation is concerned. That's a lot of numbers, but it does mean that they are definitely very close as they're walking together as well.
Yeah. You would say they're both 68%.
Yeah, you probably would. I missed my window for rounding spawn. You know how it is. Radio, they're going to be able to take
damn rounding window.
Yeah, the rounding window.
Oh, gets you every time.
Glad you feel my pain.
So the Chiefs now with that Baron buff going to look to take away another dragon for themselves. That's their second of the game, so not really near the 5th window, but you just feel that they're going to grab that 1-3-1 split push, throw Swiper in the top lane, Radier down bottom, and there's not really much now that Immunity can do to respond.
No, it's a 10,000 gold lead as well at 24 minutes into the game. It's a terrifying turn of events, but it happened so quickly. We were complimenting Immunity's control of the mid-game where they've normally sort of not necessarily excelled, but that's just gone completely now. It's sort of one mistake, one team fight win for the Chiefs, and they turn it all around.
Yeah, and that's what they do because they just have threats everywhere, so anyone can get fed. And it still ends up the exact same way. You see that they've been able to control the majority of the map now because every single time they take an advantage, they just use it to stretch it and kind of strangle you out of everything. And that's exactly where Immunity is right now.
Yeah, well, even more forward vision going down now, more towards the top side of the map as it looks like they are wanting to take down the last couple of inner turrets. The split push duty of Swiper heading towards the bottom side, but doesn't have the teleport available just yet.
He's level 15. Highest level on Immunity's lineup is level 13 on Cheese. Ryu's only level 12.
Yeah, Misfish actually getting lasered as well as he gets stunned up by the gravity field. Swiffer still playing very aggressively. Zenk and Cheese, all the damage. The rocket jump actually used to get Zenk over the wall now as Z-Drive Resonance. Actually, no, it was a headbutt from Ejim. Makes his way in. There's the Chaos Storm. so much damage as Spooks is going to lock up the rest of the IM members, trying to get some work done here as he's oh my gosh, the ultimate from Spooks as well to get him out of the position. And there's the Time Winder for the slow Radier coming through now, and T-Gun just getting torn to shreds. The 3-item Lucian, or 2.5, with the triple kill now as the Chiefs able to take down this inner turret on the top side. Baron buff still ticking, and that whole time it was a 4v5.
Yeah, exactly right. So Swiper cleans up the base on the back end as well. They're going to grab a second inhibitor as well. Zenk looks on in absolute horror. He's terrified.
Yeah. Well, look, inhibitor goes in the bottom side of the map. Chiefs just going to remove the top inhibitor as well.
Need
and
to
immunity.
be careful. Their 5 members are about to be up for immunity. They're quite low.
Yeah, well, if they do it again,
Shockwave's
Swiper will
still
probably
available.
take the last inhibitor as well.
They'll send a message.
That's true. You got to watch out for them messages. The Swift are going to clear out a pink ward. Little does he know that there is another ward still in that brush. As Mistfish looking for him. There's the Chilling Smite as well as immunity. They're committing to this. Nice flash from Swiffer, who's trying to delete Cheese, but the shutdown with the Shockwave. And you can't flash after just flashing.
Yeah, exactly right. So they're able to take one member of the Chiefs off the map, get a big shutdown onto Cheese in the mid lane, and maybe they can start trying to stall this one out, farm up those creeps that are going to funnel into the base. Not really many objectives left for the Chiefs to take, so could be a little bit of a window to get one last shop in for immunity.
Might be. I can see you definitely being optimistic here, Spawn. Things looking very dire for the immunity lineup as 13,000 gold is no easily surmountable margin for this team.
There's been bigger gold leads in the past.
That's true. That's true. Chiefs could misclick /FF. That's not true. Immunity actually do realistically have an option here if Zenk gets massive towards the late stage, because Chiefs, they don't have a huge amount of range, so fighting underneath those Nexus turrets could actually be difficult.
Yeah, it certainly could, and you see that there may be one major item above, but the cost-efficient builds are coming through from immunity, so they're trying to scrape things together, looking for another pick.
Yeah, trying to pick off Radier here. Uses the flash to get out, and Mistfish, forced to retreat, is just going to die there. Parallel convergence, not necessary, but Spooks making sure that the follow-up was available. Swiper now looking to try and get in with the onslaught of shadows as immunity. They're setting up a stall around this inner turret. Swiper just decides he'll bypass it and just head towards Nexus turrets. The inner turret is going to fall down. And Swiper just being a menace.
Yeah, he certainly is. And you see the top minion wave also there as well.
Yeah, there's a shockwave onto Spooks, who just looks for Cheese there. Does end up using the E on the turret, though, which is not exactly the best maneuver. Zenk very, very low. T-Gun going to fall down. There's the Chaos Storm onto Cheese as the culling comes through. Nice flash, sorry, to get Cheese out of danger there. Conceive Drive Resonance unable to be propped, but Swiper, he's on a mission. The Trinity Force doing work to these turrets as well as Spooks heading in there. All the members of Chiefs, still alive. Parallel convergence is going to make a nice circle, slowing down immunity just a little bit. But the Nexus is going to fall down. The Chiefs with a dominant performance. And immunity, they had some moments of glory, and definitely the early game was going better for them than it has otherwise. But man, the Chiefs, they get one good team fight and everything falls apart.
Yeah, so a relatively good laning phase coming through from immunity. It was just the roaming pressure of Egypt coupled with Spook's jungle pressure that really just snowballed the game. As soon as Spooks is able to get into that top lane, Swiper only needs one gank right now. He's completely fine. They just give all this pressure towards Swiffer, and as soon as you get that guy going in the mid lane, he just takes over the whole map. So credit, the Chiefs have been playing their brand of League of Legends, and it continues to work.
Yeah, it's certainly doing things here fantastically well. And I mean, he uses his flash there in the mid lane, and of course, Spooks always hanging around, making sure that he's protecting him while that really important cooldown is down. And look, managed to net them a kill in the end as well, trading the flashes, then managing to dive onto Cheese, knowing that he can't do anything. They're just coordinated play around knowing the cooldowns of everything from the Chiefs has only got better and better.
Yeah, and the execution from the Echo was exactly why it's going to be a power pick in the jungle. You saw the extremely long gap closer with the flash into just a long stun came through, and from there, not really much Cheese could do.
Yeah, it's fantastic. But we are going to throw it back out to Pastry Time and Rusty for some further analysis.
And welcome back, guys. Now, what a win there for the Chiefs. Immunity, we talked about it, Rusty. They seem to be on the rise, but that game, bit deflating there, honestly. A massive win for the Chiefs. Staying undefeated still.
Yeah, staying undefeated, but both teams very good at keeping and maintaining snowballs. Unfortunately, Chiefs pulling out ahead early there, getting kills in solo laning essentially. A couple really good Echo ganks cementing the rest of the map some control. The Chiefs lineup managing to just outright control it.
Yeah, I mean, in general, the lanes look good. Raider especially, another good-looking game. Maybe not, you know, padding quite as many kills as they would have liked, but still very strong stuff throwing the Lucian. But for all of that, it really was to be the Echo. The unique part here of this comp, we asking the pregame, what does Echo do? I think we had a much better idea now after that game.
Yeah, so there's a few questions that people would be asking. We've mostly seen mid lane Echoes that have actually come out since the release of this new champion, and he has been fantastic at actually just doing raw damage, but there's a lot of things that people don't actually realize about Echo, and that is just the raw capabilities of this champion to be an extremely strong jungler and still do relevant damage whilst being tank. It's almost like a mobility increased version of a Vayne.
Yeah, I mean, I guess to kind of sum that up a bit, Nita, like, what's the biggest reason you want to play Echo? Because you're not doing massive damage. You don't have a Lich Bane or a Sonya's or a Loons or anything like that. You're going for the Cinderhawk. You're going tankier. What do you get out of the pick when you're clearly not doing as much damage as you otherwise normally would be?
So there's no single reason to pick Echo up exclusively, but there are multiple extremely strong reasons that Echo provides. Firstly, he's got utility. He's got that chronosphere that he can place down and control a zone. He's got mobility because he's got the E, the dash, and then you can dash a second time. He's got raw damage because of that passive, and then that allows you to build cooldown reduction and still do insane amounts of damage. So one particular reason, not necessarily overwhelmingly evident, but for every single aspect of Echo's kit, it suits him in the jungle.
Yeah, and let's talk a little bit about actually just how to play Echo, maybe for people out there that are watching and see Spooks play and want to sort of emulate that. What was Spooks doing here in the jungle, just at a very basic level?
So the first thing, it doesn't really matter which camp that you start. It's more about where you're looking to gank first. Then the jungle stage in early phases, there's lane swaps. There's too much going on to really have a set path. So for the most part, you're looking at an Echo, looking to get that level 3 or 4 mark where he has all of his spells and 2 levels into the Q. You do max the Q first, and that allows you to gank people with extreme precision and raw damage output. We saw it in the top lane. The amount of damage that they can do in that level 4 gank was phenomenal.
It really was, actually. And I think we're going to get a look in at Spooks and actually watch that first gank that Spooks managed to successfully pull off there in the top lane. You can just see, I mean, Echo, maybe not the ganking champion would have thought of. What makes him such a potent ganker?
So the reason that Echo is so good at ganking is because you can throw out that sphere. You can control that zone, and if that's the way that the enemy is looking to escape, they literally cannot escape without copping a 2-second stun or having to use that flash. And I believe we do have a replay coming up here of the exact situation where Spooks pulls off a successful gank. So we'll start rolling the clip, and it's worth noting that he only has his range as Trailblazer, throws down that sphere, instantly able to just walk into the sphere, couple that with Swiper. The synergy between those two is phenomenal. It allows the stun. The gank successful, ridiculous amount of damage if you actually get that stun off.
Yeah, and you saw a really nice lead there from Spooks as well. It's a pretty big area. You have a bit of leeway, but just punks it right in the retreat path, and Ryu's just like, I can't do anything.
Take it.
Yeah.
You have to take it. I mean, there's many more examples of this actually happening in this game. We do have a second replay to really exemplify what Echo can do. And I don't even believe that this was a successful Echo gank, but it was super strong in the amount of work that Echo does. So we'll just start rolling this clip and just pay special attention to what Echo is really able to do. The double spheres right there, this stun duration that came out of that is unbelievable. The fact that you can build tank, still do raw damage, and this was the hidden strength of the Victor and the Echo that went unnoticed.
Yeah, just putting all those circles down, and all of a sudden, the enemy's like, I don't really have options anymore.
Yeah, exactly. So many circles. The Victor stun gives enough time for you to come in with your own stun. And between those two champions, exceptionally strong. Echo, if you can hit the stun, you get the shield on top of it. There's just so much that an Echo can do.
All right, so what does he do in a team fight? Because that's maybe the part that we didn't get to see as much of. But we do have a replay here. Take us through what Echo can do when he is actually in more of a skirmish or team fight situation.
So Echo, this particular fight is much more of a skirmish than a raw team fight. It was like 2 separate parts fighting. So we'll roll the clip now and pay attention to how Spooks manages to deal with 2 of the most important members of this immunity lineup entirely by himself, essentially, and now allows enough time for Raider and the rest of the Chiefs lineup to actually take down the other members. He's never going to die because he has so much shield. He has that ultimate, does phenomenal amounts of damage, essentially just stacking the passive up and living for as long as possible, because remember, he is building tanky items with that Cinderhulk. This Echo if you're allowed to go free, allowed to get that stun off, allowed to get all your passive procs, it's very difficult, it's high risk, but it's also high reward.
I mean, if we're going to maybe look at some other champions that are seeing a bit of popularity in the league, what's the most immediate thing to compare it to? Because when I think of Echo, I kind of think of Fizz as well.
There's so many things. Again, his kit is so diverse that what Echo actually is his own unique champion. And that is what makes Echo super cool. He's got the Vayne passive. He's got this random divergence. You can go back 4 seconds. No one else can be compared to that. But then he's got the dash as well, and this zone control that is almost similar to Victor. So very unique in his own right, but similarities to other champions.
Yeah, and a great game there from Spooks. Going tanky, getting this in home. We'll try it at home. I'm sure it's a whole lot of fun to play Echo in the jungle or mid lane or wherever you want to go. But we're going to pop back into the studio, get a little